wouldn't expect Meghan to, because she's actually full of resentment and anger, and she's still determined to win. She's determined to crush it. Them and the royal family, and they're furious. She's furious about it all. And I think with the experience of 4 years away from it, she now realizes how wonderful it is. And if she'd stayed around and she had had, you know, a certain amount of making her own decisions of what she wanted to do, which late Queen Elizabeth did allow her to do, was quite pleased, and helped with the Commonwealth, they would be in a terrifically good place. But, it's winning that counts, not actually helping and being part of a group.
Back with my friend Angela Levin. And Angela, Meghan Markle turned 43 on Sunday. It turned out to be quite an unhappy birthday because, of course, there was this car crash interview with CBS, which went very badly and she would have been very unhappy about. But she also didn't receive any public messages, at least from the royal family. What was going on there?
Well, this is the second time they haven't actually made any effort after that. We don't know if they might have phoned them privately or sent a card or anything like that, but they haven't actually let all of us know that they wanted to wish her very many happy returns. I think they are very fed up with both of them, and their behaviour has been and continues to be so appalling that they've just left them. They're away in Scotland. King Charles needs to rest because he was doing such a lot when he was down here, and he does need to rest, and they don't want things that are going to disturb him. And that seems that Harry can't understand that at all. And I don't know whether Meghan would have a party. Most years they say they're having something for a few friends. The thing is that small children love parties for their parents, so because they get all the cake and lots of presents as well as the parent does. But they didn't even say that. They didn't mention it at all. And maybe it's going to be rather an unpleasant birthday altogether.
Well, it does seem to be a particularly stressful time for them because, of course, there's a lot riding on these two new Netflix series, which the predictions in the entertainment industry are that they're not going to be a big hit. They don't really have the ingredients to be a big success. The CBS interview just did not go down well, especially, Angela, given what's so fascinating about it is that it was the first time Harry and Meghan had actually sit down together since the Oprah Winfrey interview. And not only was it an awkward encounter where Harry looked completely disengaged and Meghan was really miserable, but no one really treated it as a big deal. It's like their stock has significantly fallen since they sat down with Oprah those 4 years ago.
Yes, well, isn't it like that in America? I mean, they either like you or they just go off you, and they don't have long-term waiting for you to do very well. I think as well, they at the beginning they felt very sorry for them, but once they realized that a lot of what they said were lies or they were just moaning, I don't think that Americans like that sort of thing. They're hardworking. They want to get on, 1, 2, 3, off I go. And they're not interested in doing that. The things they're doing are not appetizing. And people don't want to give them money to help them get going. I think they're really fed up with them. And also, they really like the royal family. Most popular family in the world, and Americans like them very much. They're writing about them all the time. They're thrilled when they come over, and they do feel compassion that both Catherine and the King are suffering from cancer, which is very serious and very sad, and they need support. So they don't want whining, moaning couple next to them without much talent, and actually without really focusing on one thing and giving it everything that they've got. But they sort of want to pick up things that last for about a few weeks, and it doesn't work, put it down, go off into something else, and they're not really offering something that they would think that two members of the British royal family could offer.
But Angela, wasn't it terrible given this was the first interview that they had done with an actual journalist who you would think could ask them anything, although she was very much on message, even though Meghan didn't like the question about her previous suicidal ideation. Wouldn't you think this would have been the perfect opportunity, Angela, for them to actually express some goodwill towards Charles and
Yes.
Catherine? But we heard nothing, nothing about their family and about the fact that there's been this cancer in the family, which is a really big deal given this is the first time they have spoken publicly since.
Yes. Well, if this meeting interview was actually to help people, to help families like that, then it fits in perfectly, doesn't it? Harry could say something about his father and Catherine, and feel very compassionate towards them. I wouldn't expect Meghan to, because she's actually full of resentment and anger, and she's still determined to win. She's determined to crush it. Them and the royal family, and they're furious. She's furious about it all. And I think with the experience of 4 years away from it, she now realizes how wonderful it is. And if she'd stayed around and she had had, you know, a certain amount of making her own decisions of what she wanted to do, which late Queen Elizabeth did allow her to do, was quite pleased, and helped with the Commonwealth, they would be in a terrifically good place. But, it's winning that counts, not actually helping and being part of a group. I remember that Harry always said to me that he believed that you have to work with people because that gets the best out of you. And I noticed that when they had their engagement interview, that Meghan said exactly like that. I want to be part of something, and I want to do it together so we could do so much better. And Harry looked at her with loving eyes and thought, yes, I've got her. But Meghan just said it because it created an impression. And I was taken in as well. And I thought, oh, wonderful. This is exactly what he wanted. He learnt that in the army, and he felt it was the best way to be, not to be on your own or with one other person. But in fact, he's fallen flat on that. And she's proven that she can't bear to be told what to do or stand behind somebody who's at a higher hierarchy than herself.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact that she wants to crush the royal family, and I have no doubt about that. That's completely right. But it must be increasingly crushing for Harry and Meghan to realise quite how much their plan has spectacularly failed. I mean, there was a time when they were doing huge damage to the royal family, Angela, with their revelations, but that really seems to be over now. And I don't know what more they can do, what more they can say. I know Meghan has made a few threats about her book and revealing the whole truth and that, but it feels like they had the opportunity. They tried to do it with the Oprah Winfrey interview, and actually now they're a busted flush. It's a case of diminishing returns. There just wasn't much hype or much interest in this interview and what they had to say.
Well, I think I don't think Meghan would ever think that, because I think that she's just forever going to the top, and she thinks she will make it. She's very, very determined, and everything that she can do, like even saying, I'm only on the first layer of talking about how I wanted to kill myself. These are threats, and they can really do harm. And I think Harry is also doing harm in a different way, in that he talked to that magazine, what's it called now? People.
People,
And
yes.
yes. And he said in there, or a friend or somebody else said for him, that his father won't speak to him, and also he won't help him. And it was put in a way that if I didn't know that that was complete nonsense, he would have got away with it. one of the reasons why the king doesn't answer his phone calls is that you can't reach him directly. He doesn't have his own phone, and it goes through aides before you can speak to him. And a time is decided in advance because of, he's very busy. But he has to look after himself, and I know that Harry will go on and demand things. He's not now asking nicely in a kind way, but he demands from him, and he wants still apologies for Meghan's treatment, whatever that was, I don't know. But when he demands for it, he wants his father. He said his father is able to get him back the top rate of protection. And that's not true.
No,
The
he's
king
not.
can't do that. It's
I,
not.
it's
This
like
is the
it's like does Harry not understand how it works? Because that would be Charles directly overruling a government decision, which
yeah.
is not something that the monarchy can do. Do you think, Angela, actually what Harry really wants is Charles to just pay for it himself out of his own pocket?
No, I think this is to show that Charles is a nasty man. I think that's what it is.
But he
I
just
don't.
can't
I
do
think
it.
I think he knows very well because he knows that it comes out of the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And actually, there's some very, very good protectioners that are one step down from the one he wants. And that's because they don't have guns
Yes.
and they know absolutely what's going on behind the curtains. But there's loads of them. Loads of protection officers who are very good. Princess Anne, Beatrice, usually, they never have these top people. It's only the ones who work very, very hard. The four, the king, the queen, and the heirs to the throne, they're the ones who work hard and they get this privilege of having people looking after them 24/7. But if you're not in that foursome, you can get lots of help. And he doesn't want to do that. He's determined. He's going to the court for the third time to try and
Oh,
get
I know.
and it's costing him a fortune. But it's not because he doesn't understand it. I think that this way, the way it's put in the magazine is that, gosh, isn't Charles mean? He's got so much money, isn't he mean? But it's not that. It's a principle that he can't do.
He can't do it. And the thing is, Angela, by the way, outside of the royal family, if Elon Musk or George Clooney or Mark Zuckerberg or Oprah Winfrey, the world's most famous and rich people, if they come to the UK, they don't get this government funded security either. They have to fund it themselves. So Harry is no different to any other very high profile person that makes a huge amount of money and is able to pay for private security. So this has just become a ludicrous campaign. I did actually want to ask you about this People magazine piece, though, Angela, because it was so fascinating to me on loads of levels. Given People magazine, we know it is the place that they use when they are wanting to put their propaganda out into the world. You remember that it's where Meghan Markle's friends first revealed the information about the letter to Thomas Markle and the details of the letter to Thomas Markle, her father, even though eventually she sued the Mail on Sunday for putting more information about the letter into the public domain, even though she had actually put it out first to People magazine. But the point that I make it, Angela, is that this is one of their mouthpieces. If you read something in People magazine, you know usually that it has come directly from Harry and Meghan's camp. So what was interesting is that, as well as the stuff about the fallout with Charles and the fact that Charles and Harry were no longer speaking, which, by the way, I just need to say, what an indictment on Harry that he's not speaking to his own father, who is suffering from the worst type of cancer and undergoing chemotherapy. I think it says everything about Harry. First, though, what's so important about being independent is that I'm only ever going to tell you about products that I use, truly believe in, and think will improve your life. So that's why today I want to let you know about Verso. Now, I've entered my 40s, really trying to stay healthy. Haven't been very good over the past week, but let me tell you, I'm back on it today. Exercising, doing the 16:8 fast. But what's interesting, that will only get you so far. Scientists like David Sinclair have proven we can now reverse aging with interventions that go beyond healthy habits. So I wanted a product that would enhance everything that I was doing, but that was also backed up by solid evidence. So that's why I use Celbene by Verso every morning. It has scientifically proven ingredients that fight the effects of aging by increasing NAD plus levels. That's the stuff that powers every cell in your body. I've been taking the product for a number of months now, right at the start of my day. It has genuinely been transformative. Fasting's easier. I've lost fat. And Verso tell me that's actually due to its blood sugar regulation effects, which lead to fewer cravings. I'm sleeping better too. This product has taken years off me. I'd love you to experience the same thing. A couple of important notes. Verso publishes third-party testing from each batch produced to guarantee you're getting what you paid for. And you don't have to pay that much today, actually, because if you head right now to buy.ver.so/outspoken, you will save 15% on your first order. All you need to do is use the coupon code outspoken. I'll put the link in our YouTube and Rumble descriptions. But to repeat, that's bui.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code outspoken. But let's move on from that, because the
I
other
think he
fascinating...
can't get through. He can't get through
I see.
because they're not gonna
Because
take him
Charles
because
just won't
he-
bother, yeah.
yeah.
And which I understand, by the way. I think Charles is completely making the right decision. I know you've said before he has to look after his health, and I completely agree with that. But the other really interesting part of the interview to me, Angela, was people close to Meghan briefing that she is not particularly supportive, or she's not particularly interested in Harry's lawfare, I describe it, but his constant legal battles with the newspapers, which have ended up in court. Now, that was really interesting to me, because why is Meghan briefing to People magazine that she's not supporting Harry about something? What did you think was going on there?
I think she wants to take herself out of it, actually, because there's been such a hoo-ha of Harry going back and back and back to the courts and trying to win. And people have thought it's ludicrous and ridiculous. So she does a sort of mothering thing about, oh no, he shouldn't do it. He should be relaxing and not doing that sort of thing. So she wants to keep out. I think she keeps out of everything. She doesn't go there when it's difficult. She doesn't help him when he needs her, I think. But one of Harry's feelings, which is in people, is that he's worried about reminiscences of his mother, Diana, and that because they didn't have proper people looking after them and they drove very fast, that she died in a car crash. And that's what he's terribly worried about for them and for perhaps for the children. So
Yeah.
that's why he's sticking to it. But that's
But Angela,
ridiculous.
they
People,
chose to leave the royal
yes,
family. It's a
didn't have
completely
a,
different situation to
yes,
Diana.
yes, of course. But he's hanging on to these old things, these long time ago things
Mm.
that he's just very, very anxious. And because he's unhappy, it makes it much worse for him. And he's just stuck between two horrible places.
Yeah, I know, but the Diana thing is ridiculous, Angela, because look, by the way, I don't think Diana should have lost her security, because she wasn't particularly keen on the divorce, and it was cruel. It was really cruel. There's a real difference between Harry's situation, where he chose to leave the royal family, and Angela, they warned him at the time and again, Harry, there are consequences for this, and one of those consequences was always security, and he was warned.
Yes. I mean, the thing about Diana is that the then Prince Charles wanted to pay as much as she wanted to have all these people looking after her. He tried to persuade her for a very long time, and she absolutely refused because she said she wanted to be free. Of course, she wasn't free, she was more trapped. But she wanted to get away from it after all the time that she'd been there in the palace with people with her day and night. She didn't want it. So I think you can't blame Prince Charles. He did try very, very hard. And because he offered all the money for anything that she wanted, she could have had it. And she didn't wear a seatbelt. And it's tragic beyond words, but it's a very different situation from what Harry's in
Yeah, it is.
now.
And I don't blame Charles, by the way, because let's be honest, it was the late Queen who said that they had to divorce. And I also don't blame her because they were bringing so much chaos and carnage to the royal family. But the thing is, Harry, he looks at things in such a black and white manner, and he tries to rewrite history to fit his own narrative. And the stories, Angela, could not be more different. Come on, they are so different. But every time, it's always about trying to go back to Diana.
Yes, well, he does feel that she's looking down from above. I mean, he said to me that she's leading me on to all the charities that I want to do. I know that, and she's helping me do it. So he does feel that she's still there for him. And actually, he said just a week ago that the late Queen Elizabeth was also looking down on him from above and helping him and encouraging him to do what he wants to do. Um, on one hand, it's extremely sad, and on another, if he sees all these therapists, he ought to have somebody who can persuade him that he needs to leave that and move on
Well, yeah.
somehow.
And
I don't
my
know.
personal view is that Diana would be looking down, thinking, stop treating your brother like that. Go and support him. He's going to be king and he needs your support. And that was always what she wanted. And I think Harry's really let her down, actually.
Yes, it was always what she
Yeah.
wanted. That was very important, and she tried to keep them close, and they were. And Harry said that, William is the only person he can really talk to, and he trusts him for everything, and they can say anything to each other. No longer, which is terribly
No,
sad.
it
But you
really is.
can't be rude to someone. You can't attack their partner. You can't keep
No, it
on and
has
on.
consequences.
Yes, it
That's
has
the
consequences.
thing.
And
No,
he
I,
can't believe
yeah,
that. And he won't believe that. Or he doesn't think they should believe that. You can't do that. You can't expect people to take all that awfulness, so rude, and making it public. That's the thing, washing dirty linen in public
awful.
without there being a lot of consequences. And at some point, you have to say enough is enough.
Totally. Now, look, Angela, you've been doing some fascinating research this week into this
Yes.
ongoing court case about whether Prince Harry could actually be removed from the US. What have you learned? What have you found out? Because I know you've been looking
Well,
into this closely.
yes, I went in to see and have a meeting with Niall Gardiner. He's the director of the
Great man.
Heritage Foundation, very great man. And he's been trying to let the public know whether Harry has been done the right thing, and when he's had to sign the forms that he didn't make any lies. So he's had to go. What he said to me, he's used the freedom of information twice. He's had two Federation court hearings. Um, President Biden blocked anybody letting them see what was actually the paperwork, what Harry had said. And of course, if Trump is there, he's going to get rid of Harry if he has actually lied. And the lying is all about his drug taking. Now, what is extraordinary is that Harry put that in Spare, the book he wrote about himself,
In
um,
detail.
in absolute detail. And he said he had experimented with cocaine, magic mushrooms, and cannabis, which Neil Gardiner said could make him leave the country. And what I couldn't understand is that if he didn't realize what he was saying, that he didn't get help. I feel sure that Meghan read the book because she would have wanted to know and help him, that like lots of partners would do. Didn't she say, "Do you think this is a good idea?" Um, the journalist, Moharinga, who ghost wrote it, didn't he say anything? The publisher's lawyer or the editor? So to protect him and
Well,
say, look,
Harry's own lawyer must have looked at it, Angela,
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, and say, look, you should take this bit out. But Niall said to me that the judge has got the paperwork. It's entirely his decision. when he will release it, but he thinks he will release it in a week or so. Now, that's really fascinating information, because once it's released and we see what Harry said, we will know if he told the truth
Yeah.
or not.
Oh my goodness. That will be incredible. The thing is, I just don't expect it to happen while Biden remains president. I think if Trump becomes president, it could be a different story. But my goodness, I hope we get that information, Angela, because I can't believe for a single second that Harry told the truth on that documentation. Because how would he have been allowed in if he was open about the fact that he had used drugs? The American Immigration Service is very strict on this type of thing. So, oh goodness, I really hope Niall Gunner and the Heritage Foundation win this one.
Yes, I think there's a slight difference though, because I think once he got into writing it, he was pouring out all sorts of horrible things. It was ridiculous about the number of soldiers he'd
Oh,
killed in
yeah.
Afghanistan. That was also foolish and made him more liable to someone to come along and, make life
Well, he
very
put his
difficult.
own security at risk, didn't he?
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
irony.
So I think that once he got into it, he lost all understanding of being really careful. But it's very foolish. It's a very foolish thing.
Exactly. Yet
I
again,
hope the
yet
thing is,
again,
if
Angela,
he,
his actions have consequences. He's not a little
yeah,
child anymore. He's a grown adult.
he said something about, well, it was just for making more people want to read it. That's a nonsense. You
So what, he's
know,
now going to say he was lying in his own book, his own
he sort of
autobiography?
hinted at that. He has
Yeah.
hinted at that, but that's
Well, that
absolutely.
might be the defense. I guess that might have to be his legal defense, because if you think about it, he could say, "Oh no, 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 don't worry, I didn't lie on my form. I lied in my book," and we know he lied in his book anyway. So, but it will be hilarious if that's
That
the
would be
path he has to
that
go
would
down.
be very madly, yes.
Angela, what about this announcement that they are going to be touring? The Sussexes are going to be touring Colombia, one of the most dangerous countries in the world, coming just a week after Harry said he's too scared to even allow Meghan to come to the UK.
Yes, isn't it nonsense? I mean, this is another absolute perfect example of their hypocrisy. He won't let Meghan come to the UK, although she might not want to anyway, but he's certainly not going to bring the children. But this is known as one of the world's most dangerous countries. The Bureau of Consular Affairs says it's full of violent crime, homicide, assault, armed robbery, organized criminal activities such as extortion, robbery, and kidnapping. So there we are. They were invited by the vice president, Francia Marquez, and during the trip, they will visit Bogota, Cartagena, and Cali. Cali is apparently has the reputation for being one of the most dangerous cities in Colombia. So, I think they wanted to repeat their trip to Nigeria and see how they got on there, because that really annoyed the royal family, upset them, because they were involved with people who were wanted for burglary and things like that in America. And they'd actually, Meghan got a telling off from the First Lady
Yes.
for keeping them a whole load of intellectual women waiting for her for an hour, which is extraordinary rules. Royals don't do that. And also that she dressed inappropriately. She didn't want people following American people. Afterwards, she said she didn't really mean Meghan. But I think that was being polite.
Oh,
Why
we
was
knew
she
what
saying
she
that?
meant. We
Yeah,
knew what
what
she
she
meant.
meant. Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
imagine Harry and Meghan's team had probably kicked off and said, "What was this about?" No, I think it's the height of hypocrisy. Look, it's August, which means a great royal tradition is continuing. The King and Queen will be at Balmoral, and we didn't actually know, Angela, if that would continue, did we? Because it's not traditionally where Charles is in Scotland. He has his own home there, but it's nice that this tradition is going, and we learn, and I think this is positive news, isn't it, that Catherine will also be there recuperating from her cancer treatment. So it's nice, isn't it, that Charles and Catherine can both be together and try and get some sun and some proper recovery time, because especially Charles needs it. He's had such a relentless schedule given what he's battling health wise, Angela.
Yes. I think it's wonderful to hear this because it'll be the first time that Princess Catherine has actually gone any long journey, because it is a bit of a long journey to get to get to Scotland. And what also it seems to me is that she feels so comfortable with the King and Queen. She wouldn't go if she was going to feel and be difficult. Why? Because she needs to look after herself. And she felt she would be so comfortable there that she was satisfied to go. And she would know that certainly King Charles, and of course Camilla, would understand that she had to be careful, not use too much energy. And some days she would feel okay, and some days she wouldn't. I think it's absolutely marvelous because she knew that the children likes them. And King Charles absolutely adores those three children. They are delightful. And I think it will be a big step in her getting better because she will be doing something that they've done before, that is family. And they're sort of like a second family. And I think that it will be helpful for both the King and for Princess Catherine that they can relax while they're getting better. It's very moving, I think.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely, and I think they need it. Actually, they particularly need it this year. Hopefully, Scotland will get some good weather because I have to be honest, it has not been a good summer. Angela,
No.
in the UK, it's been a miserable summer so
But you
far.
can sit by a fire. I know they sit by fires if it's not sunny, and they can get the boys going out and getting wet, and Charles and Catherine can sit and chat and by the fire, and I think that would be just as lovely, really.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, wonderful images there, actually, thinking of that. And wonderful, Angela, I always look forward to this conversation every week. Your
Me too.
royal knowledge is beyond all bounds. You're the best at what you do, and it's such a privilege to have you as part of Outspoken.
Oh, thank you. I love being part of it.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.